Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Professor Callum Hill. You may have heard that. And I work with wood, so I really shouldn't be here at all. I'm going to take you on a journey tonight. First of all, I better tell you something about my qualifications. I know you're looking up here rather than here. This is the Fellow of the International Academy of Wood Science. You've never fucking heard of it. These are for being funny, okay? Okay. I'll be handing those in later. Yeah, so I work with wood. I'm going to take you on a journey tonight. We're going to start with a piece of wood and we're going to end up with the primordial atmosphere of the Earth, okay? And off we go. Right, now termites. Termites are lovely little creatures, aren't they? Fascinating little things, because they eat wood. And not only do they eat wood, they actually quite like it. So they're not like us at all. They eat wood, they can digest wood, and it keeps them alive. They get the energy from wood, which is quite amazing really, if you think about it. Because if I gave you a bit of wood, if you came around to my place, invited you down, and there was a meal, and I gave you a plank of wood, you'd be pretty bloody pissed off. I mean, you'd probably be polite and gnaw away at it for a while. Make an excuse. That happens to me quite a lot, actually. And it isn't the food, I can assure you. So, yeah, termites. They eat wood and they digest it. And they're really good at doing that. So there's a lot of cellulose in wood, and cellulose is bloody difficult stuff to break down. So it's highly crystalline, okay? It's made from glucose, but it's really difficult to break down. And termites have got these amazing bugs inside their guts that are able to break down cellulose, release the sugar, so that they can get the energy and make more termites, basically. That's what termites do. And it's very clever. But there are side effects. And one of the side effects from all this activity going on inside them is that they fart a lot of methane. And methane is a powerful global greenhouse gas. It has about 40 times the global warming potential of carbon dioxide. And it exists in the atmosphere for about 10 years. It gradually breaks down to carbon dioxide in the water. And actually, termites, they fart more methane than human industry produces. And they don't just fart methane, they also fart hydrogen. And this is quite interesting. Because we can use that, we can harness the ability of termites to fart methane. Because we can use, it's not funny. Are you ready? We can use that. Hydrogen is a fuel. Okay, we're putting loads of money into research to make hydrogen for fuel. We can put it into fuel cells, we can run cars off it. So if we get termites and we put them into a car, if you give a load of termites a sheet of paper, like A4 paper, they will produce for you 2 litres of hydrogen for free. So all you have to do, next time you want to run your car, don't run it off petrol, run it off hydrogen. Get a load of termites, put them in the petrol tank, and get £5 notes and stuff them in the petrol tank. And it'll be a hell of a lot cheaper than using petrol. So you heard that here tonight. I want some royalties for that one. So yeah, termites, they're very interesting creatures. We can't digest cellulose. We don't have the right kind of bugs inside us to do that. I don't actually know anything about human digestion, so I had to look it up in Wikipedia. And I found out a fascinating fact about human digestion, which I'm going to read out to you. And this is what I read. In mammals, food enters by the mouth, where it is chewed by teeth. You can look that one up. So, you know, that's got to be worth 10 quid, isn't it, just to learn that. Yeah, so we can't break down cellulose, okay, we can't get energy from it, but we have a lot of starch in our diets. We have too much starch, actually, the Western diet, too starch rich. And starch is like glucose, it's like cellulose, it's made from glucose, but it's made from glucose where the hydroxyl group points that way rather than that way, and that makes all the difference. Starch is like an open structure, it can break down easily, so when we eat starch, it releases a lot of glucose in one go. We get these sort of glucose flushes in the body, it's not a good thing. And really we should be eating diets very much more like our ancestors ate. So we should be eating things like nuts and berries and woolly mammoth and saber-toothed tigers and each other. In fact, if you're a vegetarian, I don't know if there's any vegetarians here, but the best thing you can eat if you're a vegetarian is another vegetarian. They're just full of goodness and vitamins. Not quite sure I'm going now. So yeah, the human intestine, if you take your intestine out, if you want to do that, I mean, don't advise it, it's 12 metres long. And it has to be that long because it has to break down all the stuff so that we can get the nutrients in the food, and it takes a long time for the bacteria to do that. And we need a lot of bacteria to do that. It turns out that the human body is 90% bacterial cells and only 10% human cells. So that means everybody in this room is full of shit. Okay? And I must have more than most because I've got brown eyes. So I reckon about 99% in my case. So these bugs, they're working away, they're breaking down food, and just like termites, there's gases given off, byproducts, because of the fermentation process. And people fart things like carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. So I was wondering, as I was doing my in-depth research in Wikipedia, what is the potential, global warming potential, of farting? And we fart, apparently, on average, about half a litre of fart gas a day, which to me doesn't actually sound like very much, but that's what it says. And a typical fart will contain 20% carbon dioxide, okay? 20% by volume. I know, I could see you all looking at it, you know, does it mean mass or by volume? So, by volume, obviously. Come on. And, well, okay, so do the calculation. You've got 20%, 0.5 a litre, and the molecular weight of carbon dioxide is 44, and we know that 44 grams of carbon dioxide occupies 22.4 litres at standard temperature and pressure. We all know that, don't we? We all learned that at school. So, and you can do the calculation, and you can work out how much carbon dioxide, and you can work out the global warming potential. And it turns out a typical average daily fart is equal to 1.5 Google searches. Okay? Interesting fact. Now, farts don't just contain carbon dioxide, they also contain hydrogen. But there's some of you in the room, not the ones that are knocking the glasses over, but some of you in the room, you fart methane, okay? Just like termites. And I don't know where you are, but 1/3 of you fart methane, and I could tell where you were if you were to light your farts, okay? Because your farts will burn blue. And people that fart methane, they can join a club called the Royal Order of the Blue Flame, which is better than the Fellow of the International Academy of Wood Science. I don't know what you have to do to join, but I can imagine what the ceremony looks like. I don't recommend you start checking right now. There's a lot of candles in here, it could be quite dangerous. So, yeah, so if you fart methane, let's assume, for example, a 20% concentration of methane in a typical 0.5 litre daily fart, then your global warming potential, which is greater with methane, if you'll remember, back to the beginning, it's about 8 Google searches, okay, if you fart methane. Now, every time you do a Google search, of course, it uses electricity, and that electricity has to be generated, and that's why we can do this calculation. If we want to do this calculation. Some of us have got better things to do. But this is what I get paid for. I worry about things like this. Which is a bit disturbing. Now I'm up here. It's a bit worrying. Yeah, so about 8 Google searches on average, which is quite interesting. If you look at the kind of bugs that are in our intestines, these bugs, they're anaerobic digesters. They don't like oxygen. Okay, these are the sort of bugs that used to live. They used to inhabit the Earth. They used to live throughout the planet. They used to dominate the planet. And then photosynthesis came along. Oxygen was generated, and gradually the bugs had to retreat from dominating the planet, from being outside to inside our intestines. And these bugs don't just produce carbon dioxide and methane and hydrogen, they also produce the things that we tend to associate with the smell of farts, which is things like hydrogen sulfide, methyl mercaptans, skatols, these sorts of things. These are the smelly things. And it means that the primordial atmosphere of the Earth actually smells of farts. Now, we can't go back. I can't invent a time machine and take you back there as much as I'm sure you'd like to go and experience what the primordial Earth was like at that time. But if you want to get some impression of what it would have been like, if you travel on the Virgin trains on the West Coast Main Line and stand in the vestibule, it's pretty bloody close actually. And that cost me about 80 quid for that experience. Yeah, so that's the primordial atmosphere. And that's the end of my set actually. So thank you very much for listening. Professor Callum Hill.